look at the very top stat there, just one break and run, but at least it was Mustafa Almay who got the break and run. But when you look at the missed pots, 15 missed pots, 9 missed pots, but I think a lot of them might be like bank shots and things like that. But you know, Joshua Filler, that 9 ball, that's the one it's all going to come down to, because it looked like you were just going to edge in front a little bit and go into the break, a couple of minutes to sort of wash your face and try and get up for the, you know, last few racks. But what a mistake that was. And listen, what can you take away from Mustafa Almay? He got the job done, didn't he?
It's been one of the stories of the week, really, hasn't it? We haven't seen as many break and runs as we normally do. The pace of the table has certainly played a part, but we are now joined by the man of the moment. Mustafa, you have pulled off another victory this week over Joshua Filler. Of course, we saw you at the World Championship in June. You were the only player to beat Fedor Gorst. You like playing these big players, don't you?
Yeah, of course I like. But I don't know how can I tell my feelings, because it's big pressure for me. I play, I think, first time in my life for Sky Sports Live and something like that. It's big pressure for me. Also for him, he's tried to crown. Yeah, but I'm happy.
Well, you've got a good record on Sky Sports, 1 from 1. Did it feel different playing Josh in this setting as opposed to the other day?
Yeah, last time I played better. And he's also not, he's like played like a Joshua Filler, but he played better today. I don't know.
What did you think when he missed the 9 ball? Was you shocked? You were sat in the chair?
Yeah, of course.
I took my headset off. I was waiting for Phil to wrap it up, and then I just heard all the screams.
What was going through your mind at that moment when Josh Filler had the opportunity to go 8-7 up? What were you thinking when you came back to the table? You can see it here now.
Yeah. I am try to come back again, but when he missed, I am talking for myself. I tell it's this much for me.
Yeah,
I'm feeling.
Absolutely, and early on especially, you certainly had more luck off the break, didn't you? Did you notice that Josh, he wasn't, you know, he had quite a few dry breaks early on?
Yeah, maybe I saw him first time like this breaks. He never make, I think, the 1 ball or 1 time maybe. That's why he lost.
And what do you put it down to, that the occasion just didn't get to you out there? What do you put that down to?
Sorry?
You didn't let the occasion get to you out there, did you? You kind of enjoyed and embraced the moment.
Yeah, of course. When I play the famous players, good players, every time it's better for me. I'm trying to focus more, and that's why I play better.
Yeah, and it all comes down to experience at the end of the day. You know, Joshua Filler's got all the experience in the world. You know, everybody knows what he's achieved on a pool table. This was a beautiful 9 ball as well from Mustafa. But, you know, he's been out there now. He's had the crowd all here sort of against him as well, because they want Josh to win. And regardless how you win, it's about experience. And he's been out there. He's got to feel what it's like in that arena with the crowd. And it was actually a good combo to win the match as well.
Yeah, what do you feel like you learnt from that experience playing on that TV table with all of these fans in here as well?
It's beautiful, really beautiful. Big pressure also, but more focused to game. I'm happy for that. I hope next time I will play again.
And you said before that match that, yes, you were feeling pressure, but you hoped that Joshua Filler would feel even more pressure.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you thrive in that environment?
Yeah, exactly.
And Cole, what were you most impressed with this man's performance?
Well, the fact that he got to 10 before Josh, that's very impressive. No, listen, you know, some matches, as we said, he said himself, he played better against Josh the other day. Not many people beat Joshua Filler twice in 1 season. He's done it in 1 tournament. It's about getting over the line, obviously come with it at the end. He actually played a lot of good shots, a lot of good positional shots, and he'll get experience from that. And obviously when he goes into his quarters tonight, he'll play on one of these tables and he's felt what it's like.
Yeah, thank you very much. You've got another important match to go and prepare yourself for. This man is through to the quarterfinals, but we have another mouth-watering encounter up next for you on the TV table. It is Fedor Gorst taking on his USA team captain for the Mosconi Cup in Skyler Woodward.
So, of the 46 players from the host nation who started out, they're all now gone. And yet, the United States still has 4 players in this last 16 stage. The first thing to confirm before we watch two of them play each other is who Mustafa Alnar's next opponent is going to be. Johan Chua, within the last few minutes, has defeated World Championship semi-finalist Wojciech Szewczyk by 10 racks to 7. So Chua now stands between Alnar and a place in the last day of this European Open. Also going on at the moment, Denis Grabu of Estonia with a 7-1 lead over Daniel Maciol. And Shane Wolford is leading 2-1 over the now former world champion Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. As you can see on the graphic there, wins earlier for Ko Ping Chung and Mickey Kraus, in addition to the ones we've just been discussing. And a couple of matches still to start. David Al-Kadi against Shane Van Boening. That will be getting underway very soon on table 1. And here on the main table, it is Fedor Gorst against Skyler Woodward. Great to have Jeremy Jones alongside me. And Jeremy, I know your stint as Mosconi captain is over, but it still brings you great pleasure to see a quarter of this last 16 lineup representing your home country.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Fedor Gorst and Skyler, they have to play each other, so that's a little unfortunate, but one will make the final 8. So, and Shane Wolford in action at SVB a little bit later. So, yeah, good stuff from the Americans this week. And, you know, we had some bow out early. We've got 4 left trying to get this title.
When you look at it, you think of the Mosconi team that you captained in London last year. Of the 5, Tyler Steyer wasn't able to make it here, which was unfortunate for him given the form he's been in. But the other 4 all still in it, and that's very encouraging. For one of them, Skyler Woodward, your successor as US captain, and now a playing captain. But what did you make of that filler defeat? What are your thoughts about what you saw there?
Well, it was, you know, kind of a birdie-bogey kind of match for both players. You know, couldn't get settled with the speed. It was scrappy from the beginning. And of course, the first match of the day is always the toughest, it seems, for most players. And, you know, neither player could really ever settle in. But you could see, you know, there were some big turning points. That missed 9. Pretty easy to look at that one. And Josh, you know, it's going to hurt for a little while being right here in Germany, but he's going to have to get on to the U.S. Open here in about 8 days.
Yeah, an event he won 5 years ago. So the narrative continues for Filler. He's talked about how much he wants to win one of these big titles in his home country. He's had 3 goes at it now here in Fulda. And, of course, the World Masters, which was played in Hildesheim for the first time earlier this year. The man in the picture, having his practice rack at the moment, denied him in that hill finish. And went on to win another deciding rack final to land his 2nd world title just a couple of months ago in Jeddah. So just how much, if it's possible to quantify it, Jeremy, has Gorst's standing on the world stage been enhanced by the events of the last few months?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious where it's taken him, and he's already one of the best in the world, and of course one of the fan favorites, but now you got to consider maybe the biggest fan favorite in 9-ball pool. And one thing he said in an interview to start this week is being able to win that world title without his A game, you know, in many matches. So evolving in all kinds of ways, Fedor Gorst.
Yeah, and it's going to be fascinating to see where he goes from here. You consider he's a 2-time world champion already and only 24 years of age. Definitely the best player in the world now. So just a recap on the scores there. What about that Mickey Kraus one? That jumps off the page, doesn't it? And we see players sometimes have a good run in a tournament and then they do nothing for a year or 2. But Mickey Kraus, since he did well in the World Championship, he's won that smaller event in Romania and now backing it up again. So encouraging for such a young player.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really started before that. Earlier in the year, he had some results, a pretty good UK Open as well. Young man that we all knew the talent is there, but sometimes it takes a little longer. But he put together a lot of breaking runs in that match against Albin Ocean, so he's going to be very confident moving forward.
Albin Ocean was the inaugural champion of the European Open on his 32nd birthday 2 summers ago. The only other past winner of the title, last year's champion David Al-Kadi, is still with us and faces Shane Van Boening. That one is just about to start on table 1, and you can watch that and keep an eye on it on Matchroom Pool YouTube.
And I think you and I were talking about it prior to us coming into the booth, but about Josh's match, I think Josh, to me, just looked a little fatigued all week. And maybe just putting a bit of extra pressure on himself right in his home country.
He just seems to be unwell all the time. I know when we were here in Germany for the World Masters earlier in the year, he had a really bad cold and he doesn't really seem to have shaken it off. You feel maybe he could do with a good break. But of course, US
First
Open
rack.
coming up. No
Skyler
chance of that
Woodward to
happening
break.
anytime soon. So Filler is gone. These two are still very much here. And it's Skyler Woodward to start us off. Race to 10.
Skyler, who had a couple rough kind of wins to start, not terrible by any means, but not his best, has got improved every match. This is a part also that has improved in the last years. The break shot, he's been able to pick up the speed a bit, which I think is nothing but a big commodity for these players. All right, kind of a long one to start. Good thing the three's handy. And just hard shot to start the match with, and maybe knowing that, you know, you don't want to burn that extension early. You do get a minute after the break, but maybe use that minute just a hair more. But hard to really picture any fault in that miss.
Extension called.
Fedor Gorst calling his extension. As I said, 24 years of age. Started the year ranked number 3 in the world, but I think most of us anticipated it was highly likely he would soon get to number 1, and he did rise to the top of the rankings with all those points he got in Jeddah for winning the World Championship. As we look at the Woodward miss again.
Yeah, and Skyler kind of switching some of his equipment. Went to a little thinner shaft, went to a wrapless butt. So, you know, and sometimes, you know, that's for one reason or another, but sometimes, you know, Skyler hasn't had the year that he had in 2023, at least not yet. You know, players in all kinds of sports like that, with golf clubs, maybe tennis rackets, they tweak things to maybe get, you know, a little start over, you might say.
Yeah, I was talking to him about that yesterday, and he was saying he'd made those changes. So, given your expertise, can you put it into simple terms for people? What difference that change would have made and why he would have made it?
Well, you know, just, you know, maybe a little bit of superstition at times, but he said he toyed with the smaller shaft. He liked a lot of things that were going on with that. You know, maybe makes you get a little more detailed in the mind, you know, thinking about what's going on, how the ball's reacting, how you're hitting the ball, and, you know, just to be fair, sometimes something to just, you know, like I said, a new start and something fresh for him. And he knows a big fall's coming with the U.S. Open. Can't overlook this European Open, but he can do himself a lot of favors, gaining a lot of points and trying to qualify for that Moscone he's going to lead instead of having to use one of his wild card picks on himself. Now, a much different European Open for the man at the table compared to what we saw in Saudi. Really hasn't been threatened too much in this tournament. I think his last match, it was tied at 5 apiece, but then he went on to win pretty handily. So,
yeah, I mean, he really wasn't put under pressure in any of his first 4 matches. Bezar Spahiu in winners qualification, the Albanian, did get as close as 9-4, but never really looked like winning. So, first time he was threatened at all was yesterday. And you mentioned there it was 5-all, and prior to that, Gorst had actually been 5-4 behind, and then won half a dozen racks in a row against Alexa Pechelj. Similar in many ways to when they met in the US Open semi-final last year, when Pechelj had the better of it early on. Then Gorst got a bit of rhythm going and just took total control.
yeah, you can see, though, a couple draw strokes from Josh that got away. I wouldn't say that one got away. Maybe a little more than he expected. Perfect weather outside, so again, the bed playing very fast. All right, doesn't need a ton here. Maybe the middle of the table will do. that's where, you know, Gorst just has it all, really. His instincts are awesome. Best jumper in the world, one of the best breakers consistently day in, day out.
So Woodward did have a chance early on after making the one off the break. It wasn't to be, though. World champion Fedor Gorst wins the first rack. The defending champion David Al-Kaidi is starting around now over on table 1 against Shane Van Boening. We spoke to Al-Kaidi ahead of this.
I always remember every single moment for last year. I feel so happy, you know. I remember I played so good. Give me a lot of confidence for the rest of the year, for the last year. This year is totally different, and we will see what happens. Always is a pressure when you play against Shane. He's the top 3, top 5 best player in the history. I'm trying to stay focused in my game, enjoy this match, and we will see what happens. I want to think about the next round. No, if I come to have more chance to win the tournament. No, it's most important is my match for today against Shane. We will see what happens.
Tell you what, JJ, if I ever won a trophy as good as that, I'd probably put it in front of the table all year long just to remind myself of it. David Al-Kaidi seen off Anton Raga in a hill finish here in Fulda last year, and off to a good start against Shane Van Boening, who's been in the final here himself in the past. Al-Kaidi taking the opening rack. And if you want to keep an eye on that while you're watching this one with us, Matchroom Pool YouTube is the place to go as we pan back across the arena to the main table. It was so full earlier on for the Joshua Filler match, and a lot of that crowd have gone out to have a bit of lunch here, and I'm sure they'll be back in due course to watch. Very much the man of the moment in 9-ball pool.
Break. Leader by 1 rack to 0.
Yeah, you got to believe that the fans got the wind knocked out of them a little bit in that match as well. So, but they are true pool fans. They love Filler, but those seats will be filled soon. Little thin there on the 1. Still got it down. Has a look at the blue 2.
Yeah, just going back to the crowds. If you remember last year, there was such expectation about Filler, and then when he went out, as you say, there was a bit of a sense of anticlimax around the place, but it didn't last, and I think that was because the final turned out to be such a thriller, and the atmosphere we had in here on the final night was every bit as good, I think, as it would have been even if Filler had been involved.
Yeah, tricky safety shot here. Tell you, I may bank the 2 back up towards the purple. Well, the angle's not there to go into the 6 with the cue ball. Cut the 2 into the 6 here and run the cue ball 1 rail up behind the purple and the pink. This is tricky. Now, Fedor Gorst is one of the best bankers in the world also. So you'll see him take on some tough bank shots. He's really good with the percentage pool and understanding his opponent as well. Yeah, I don't see anything that really I'm in love with on the safety side of things. I think it will be a safety because the bank has got quite a bit of cut to it. I wouldn't say guaranteed position. Okay, maybe shooting the shot I was talking about, trying to go into the green 6 with the cue ball, let the 2 come up towards the purple. Oh, he did go for the bank. Oh, he fluked it. Wow.
When you're as good as he is, you shouldn't be allowed to be lucky as well, but he was there.
I think he was actually trying to play the safety I was talking about, going into the green 6. I really do, because look at, there wasn't ever enough speed on the cue ball to get position on the 3, and he just doesn't miss his mark that far on bank shots or any shots, really. Okay, he's going to get a chance with a ball that isn't missable. So now time to get the arm loose for Sky Wood.
Yeah, he was left a tough shot on the 3 Gorst. I guess the fortune was he didn't leave the 2 hanging over the pocket. So Skyler Woodward, 31 years of age, ranked number 16 in the world, as he was at the start of the year. even though, as you say, Jeremy, he isn't having the year that I think we'd perhaps anticipated, given how well he did for so much of 23.
And Skyler, of course, many players know just instinctually how great he is, and not always playing the standard shots that all players would play, but they usually always make sense. Got a great gut instinct, willing to go for the tough shot. Okay, he's got to pull this a little bit. I think he's close enough to it, even though he's got a heavy angle, he can get past the side.
Called.
Now he's debating trying to stun 2 cushions by the 9. I think the soft draw, you don't have to get all the way back down. Okay, you can see the tip in the middle of the ball, so he's coming 2 cushions between the 6-9.
Confident looking stroke early on in the match. Recently became a dad for the 2nd time. He already had a son, Daxton. Now he has a daughter as well, Bristol. And he was telling me yesterday it was hard to leave the family behind with a new arrival, having only just come. But he was also saying it's been great for his frame of mind here, because he sort of feels like he's come here with a clear mind and very happy off table, and it's helping him.
Yeah, probably the most mental game on earth, so with a new baby girl, and of course Daxton, as fun as he is daily. Maybe some late nights and early mornings with a brand new baby, but a very happy
Skyler
man.
Woodward wins the rack.
And he'll be happy with the outcome of that rack. 1-all against Fedor Gorst in this last 16 encounter. Winner of which will play either Daniel Maciol or Dennis Graba. And the Estonian, Graba, is still very much in control there at 7-3. Now, going on right next to this, the match we were looking in on earlier, David Al-Kaidi against Shane van Boening. We know Al-Kaidi won the opening rack. As you can see, he's keen to get on with it because he's just added another one. So, Al-Kaidi looking to go back-to-back here in Fulda. 2-0 in front. So the American trailing there, but on table 2, the American player is leading against a Spanish opponent. Shane Wolford, 3-2 up on Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. And just as I was saying that, Wolford has added another one. So he's gone 4-2 now.
Yeah, Shane also has, that being Wolford, has improved every match. He's a very dangerous player. Again, not having the 2024 that he wants so far, but breaks the balls so well. He can really get going.
Yeah, they're the other 2 tables going on a little bit more out of the spotlight. On the right of the picture there, you can see Francisco Sanchez Ruiz on table 2, 4-2 down, as we've said, against Shane Wolford. And Daniel Maciol and Dennis Graba have just finished their 11th rack. I think it's gone the way of Maciol to get back to 7-4 down. We'll confirm that shortly.
The match is tied, 1 rack each.
Just how he wanted to hit him. Didn't get the spread. There were a lot of little kisses. Speaking of kisses, the cue ball got kissed to the top cushion, but looking forward in this match, you know, early in the match, that's when Skyler can really struggle on the break, but he usually settles in, but the first 2 have been pretty good.
Now, Maciol did win that 11th rack to get back to 7-4 behind against Dennis Graba. Maciol now the only remaining Polish player after the defeat for Wojciech Szewczyk earlier.
Yeah, pretty nice effort there. Maybe didn't get as much out of it as he deserved. I don't know if he has an edge, but it's a pretty easy swerve and definitely a doable jump.
Extension called.
I wonder how he's going to play this jump. Obviously nothing offensive. Oh, you can see it? Excuse me. Well, didn't get the snooker, but the awkward cueing, and it's going to make things very difficult and some stretch for Skyler as well. May just try and play the 2 like almost like a bank shot, trying to use some cover that way. Could play the 2 down the middle of the table, but again, being stretched.
Extension called.
Pretty difficult to kind of hold the cue ball on this bottom rail or the side rail at the bottom of your screen. You could hear Skyler. I sure wish I was a little bit taller. Keeping it fun.
That's the opening line of a song from back in the 90s.
And it was just planted in a very difficult spot. A little fortunate not to give up an offensive shot. Good chance he gets planted behind the 4 and the 7 here. And he can afford to bump it a little bit as well. I think if there's, one area that Federer would want to improve in is the tactical side. And not saying that was a poor shot. It just leaked a little bit on him, but occasionally kicking at the ball. Look at this. Little field goal between the pink and brown. But occasionally kicking at the ball. He'll serve up ball in hand a few more times than you would think from a top player. Makes up for it with the jump cue, but of course, he runs so many racks, Michael. The tactical side of the game just doesn't seem to come in as often with this guy. All right, did this dress up for the jump on the 2-3 combination in the side? Now, if he lands on this ball, and the only reason I say he might land on it because the 9's a little far away and he's got to get it down quick, he may fluke the 2 in the upper left corner.
You paired these 2 up for a doubles match at the Mosconi Cup last year, Jeremy, on the penultimate night, and they won. Beat Jason Shaw, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, just to give that glimmer of hope going into the last day after Europe had built that huge lead. They were on opposing teams, of course, when Gorst represented Europe back in 2020, although they never came up directly against each other on that occasion.
Yeah, that was a nice win for them, a fun win it ended up being just because the cup had gotten out of hand, but it was always a team that was going to get paired together. 2 guys that have grown pretty close over the last several years, and it can be odd at first until the kind of the adrenaline gets going in these types of matches between buddies.
Well, of course, you had that situation when you played in the World Championship final. You were up against the guy you were rooming with that week, Nick Varner.
Yeah, the guy I was rooming with, one of my all-time heroes, a guy that helped me a lot, at the pro tournaments with little tips and little words here and there. And yeah, it was hard to start that final. Nick a little more experience in that regard. He started out a lot better than I did. Deserved that win. All right, this is going to be a very difficult hit. May be able to get to the short rail. It's at the left of your screen and come directly at the 2. I really don't see much of anything else. Oh, he's going for the jump cue. Okay. That just shows you, how the jump cue has evolved. When it first came out years ago, decades ago actually, this wasn't really much of an option when it was this close. Wow, how'd he plant the cue ball?
Poland's Daniel Maciol has pulled another one back. Now trails only 7-5 against Dennis Graber. They're playing for the right to meet the winner of this match.
Well, I tried doing that again, going all the way up the table, sniffing the ball and getting enough speed to come back down. What a game 3 we're seeing.
Feels like it's been an epic rack already. Still only one ball off the table, that being the one that Woodward potted off the break. Meanwhile, over on table 1, Shane Van Boening is about to open his account. Routine 8 and 9 to get back to 2-1 down against David Al-Kaidi.
Yeah, I thought it was a good thing for Shane maybe to be on one of the outer tables to start today. Maybe if he can get that rhythm going. And, you know, sometimes also, you know, with the commercial breaks, if he makes a mistake and has to sit there and think about it, you know, maybe he gets right back up there, gets an opportunity, and good to see him get on the board.
Back here on the main table, Gorst may just have forced the key error from Woodward.
Yeah, he's going to have to play a kiss shot on the pink onto the brown. Most likely anyways, and he's got to get in position to do so. Yeah, I would look at that combination. The reason being, there's a lot of traffic with the 8 and 9, so if you play a kiss shot, it's very hard to control the 4 and contain the cue ball, you know, to continue the run after the kiss. So I kind of like the idea of the combination, even though it's a little thin. This is going to get in between. So this is way thin. Now this is where you want to stay away from side spin. And what I mean by that, a lot of times when you're cutting the ball, you'll use right spin right here to throw the cut back. And that makes for not the best contact on the brown 7. So you want to keep it kind of in the center of the cue ball. Did cut it enough, though.
We saw Shane Van Boening take rack 3 on table 1. The other Shane in action at the moment, Wolford of that name, is off to a great start against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Wolford now leading 5-2. That would be an enormous landmark for Wolford if he was to win that one and get through to the quarters, JJ.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, he's trying to not only for himself right here in the European Open and get his year really started after a slow 2024, but you know, he's going to make a guy that's playing Fedor Gorst pay attention to what he's done here in European Open. If he can win that match, maybe another one, who knows? But, you know, as it sits at the moment, there may only be one wild card for that Mosconi Cup team. And, you know, if you can be trending, even though other players have had great years so far, if you can be trending towards the end and when the Mosconi Cup is actually played, that's got to be a consideration.
Yeah, with the playing captains now in the Mosconi, it's been agreed that if either Jason Shaw or Skyler Woodward don't automatically qualify, they have to use one of their wild cards for themselves. Woodward currently not on course to make an automatic spot. Fedor Gorst has already wrapped up his place on the US team, and he's also wrapped up rack 3. He leads for the second time in the match at 2-1. Shane Van Boening hasn't won this European Open, but he's got a very good record in it. He was runner-up in the inaugural staging, semi-finalist last year when he was beaten by David O'Cady, who went on to win the title. As you can see, O'Cady leading 2-1. That's going on over on table 1. You can keep an eye on it on Matchroom Pool YouTube. Back here, the main action. The world champion breaking the 2-1 up.
Great break off here, and probably as easy a layout as we've seen after the break here, and at least that I've seen on the match table here today. Of course, the 4-inch pockets, you can't take a shot off, right? There are no really just cupcake outs, but this one here, pretty routine.
Extension called.
Yesterday against Pechelge, as I was saying, he was 5-4 down, and I think the best way to describe his run of 6 racks in a row from there was just efficient. There weren't many really memorable shots. He just did everything in his usual competent way.
Yeah, Pechelge had a couple little mistakes to help him along the way. Almost a big error there. Now, the good thing is he really doesn't have to apply much spin here. Just a kind of a high ball going 2 rails back and forth between the 8 and 9. And you want that anyways. That way you carry an angle on the purple to get up on the green 6. This is going to get a little near the rail, a little flatter than he wanted as well. Caught the 4 a little thick to the pocket. So he may have to take a little more distance on the 6 than he really originally planned. Maybe just kind of creep the cue ball up the side rail. Hard to tell exactly how much angle he has, and just a ½ inch changes things dramatically. You can see him a little more elevated than he'd normally be, though, trying to get a little arc on the cue ball. He got a lot of arc on the cue ball. Now probably pretty fortunate maybe the 7's over the pocket, him knowing that he can take on this thin cut to the upper left. Should clear the 8 and 9, no problem, off of 4 cushions. Kind of let up on that one. If you noticed it, usually sometimes that'll cause a little bit of a kick on the object ball. Hard to tell really on the slow-mo replay, but didn't really accelerate through the ball. I thought he'd go 4 cushions there.
So quite a big moment this early on in the match, as you said, Jeremy. It was a lovely layout for Gorst off the break, and he's not taken advantage of it.
Yeah, I don't know if he can attack here. I think it's cuttable, and when Skyler's really in stroke, he hits the thin ones as well as anyone on the planet. Yeah, this is definitely playable. Wants to avoid the 9. Doesn't want some kind of carom off the 9 into one of these lower corners with the white ball. Yeah, you could hear the little snip on the 6.
And as the American looks to draw level here, his compatriot in action over on table 1 has gone in front. Shane Van Boening has really turned it around there against David O'Cady, leading 3-2.
Yeah, Skyler's not going to... Oh, I thought I was a little upset with it. I thought it was going to rest near the cushion. It's actually just fine. Could come 2 cushions here through the ball, maybe just 1.
Really good opportunity for Gorst to lead 3-1. ran aground. Woodward's had
Skyler
4
Woodward
balls left on
wins
the
the
table. And he's emphatically taken care of them. So we're level again at 2-all. So 3-2 to Van Boning, as I said. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has won the 8th rack, and he really needed to against Shane Wolford because that one was starting to slip away from him a bit. Wolford leading now 5-3. Daniel Maciol from 7-1 down to Dennis Grabber, won 5 racks in a row to get back to only 1 behind. Grabber has won a crucial 14th rack though, so just a couple away from victory. If he gets them, he'll play the winner of the match we're focusing on. That is Francisco Sanchez Ruiz at the table, looking to get back to only 1 behind against Wolford. And that is Dennis Grabber walking round in the background behind him. Grabber, someone who's been around for a long time and doesn't really have much history of going particularly deep in these events. Good at winning a few matches here and there, and he's done well in some of the smaller events around Europe. We've seen him in the World Cup of Pool, of course, for Estonia. Could be a big day in his career.
Yeah, we're fortunate here in the booth. I can keep a little eye on that SVB match. He's almost made an incredible shot, carrying the 9, but he hung it. So I think David may have a 1-9 bank combination to get that match squared up. Should be a fun shot for these fans to watch.
Rack 5, Skyler Woodward to break. The match is tied, 2 racks each.
He attempted that shot, O'Cady, but it hasn't come off for him, and he's left a chance for Van Boning to go 2 clear. Back here, it's 2-all.
Yeah, that connection didn't sound the best. We'll get another look here in a moment.
Yeah, that was a horrible sound. First time in the match that either player has failed to make the 1 off the break.
Yeah, if you watch the cue ball as it was coming back across, maybe a bit thick on the hit on the 1. That should be a jam up safety here on the brown. Okay. Ooh, he's got the 1 in a nasty position. Now, does the 1-8 play? Can he get at the 1-8?
I always think it's worth pointing out to people when we get to the main televised stage of these events, the basics of the game for anyone who's new to it. So long as you hit the lowest numbered ball remaining on the table first, any pot is legal and keeps you at the table. Now, most pots are the lowest numbered ball remaining, but if, say, you play the 1 onto the 6, pot the 6, for example, that keeps you at the table. And the winner of the rack is the player who pots the 9, irrespective of who's potted what balls prior to that.
Oh, a great hit with not much reward. So Gorst is going to get a chance to redeem that mistake in rack number 4. SVB getting on with it.
Yeah, looks like he's going 2 clear here. In fact, I think we can say he is definitely doing that.
And I really like I said, as far as an American fan, of course, I love David as well, but if you're looking for SVB to win, I thought it was a good thing, him being on the outer table, maybe get that ball rolling in a sense.
So Van Boning 2 clear. A lot of the big names who you might have thought would be in contention for this title have gone. Eklund Kachi didn't even make the final 64. Joshua Filler has gone earlier today. Anton Raga, who was 1 rack away from winning this title last year, also went out early on. So for someone like Van Boning, looking to get back to winning one of these events after a bit of a gap, a window of opportunity opening up. But still, so many very good players to get past in their own right.
Yeah, we're always gonna have some of these top guys down in these situations, but can't say enough, just so many other players catching up. Now, a little funny one here. If he goes forward, can he really get by the 6 easily and come up 1 rail for the purple? If he draws it, he's got to really go into the 6 some kind of way. So this is funny. If he catches the 6 coming in off the 4 a little bit, he may catch it on the way out and get thin on the purple. Oh, he got by it nicely.
should now lead for the third time in the match.
Yeah, quite the contrast from our last match, right, Michael? This has been pretty good quality in all departments. I mean, not totally mistake-free, but you got to say, to open such a big day and a big match for both players, really good stuff.
11 different nations represented in the last 16. That sort of thing is par for the course in the 9-ball world these days, which is obviously wonderful to see. USA with 4 of those 16. Nobody else with more than 2. Poland and Spain both achieving that number. Actually, I'll correct myself. It's 12 countries, isn't it?
Yeah, well, no country's more delighted than Turkey at the moment, right? Defeating Josh Filler twice in 1 week. Was Alex Pagulayan the only person to ever do that?
Yeah, that happened at the World Championship last year, didn't it? Well, Fedor Gorst won the World Championship this year, and he's won the 5th rack. 3-2. Now, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, last year's world champion, has won 2 in a row now to get back to just 1 behind against Shane Wolford at 5-4. Dennis Graba has made it to the hill. He's won 2 racks in a row to lead 9-6 over Daniel Maciol. And this is going on over on table 1. David O'Cady had a slight upper hand early on, but Shane Van Boning has just taken control of things for the time being, leading 4-2. And, well, we picked a good time to go over to that table, Jay.
Yeah, and I believe that was after a push-out. A push-out that went wrong. He got corner hooked in the lower right corner, tried to push out to a long straight-in shot, maybe a jump behind the pink. So now what? What's he do now? Because he got down quickly on a tough one. Just leveling out, trying to cut it in. Maybe makes the purple as well. Oh, look at this. Take the cake. Take the pot.
I know you're one of the people that Shane likes to talk to and bounce ideas off during tournaments. Have you spoken with him much this week?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked a little bit. Just a few minutes here, a few minutes there, you know, asking he's getting his rest, how's he feeling. You know, said he's played some good matches.
3 racks to 2.
Of course, he had one scrappy one yesterday, but he got through, so. Yeah, David Alcady's so good tactical. Great shot. It's the second time he's caught him kind of thin. Still getting the one down, so wondering if that's a bit by design. Normally zigzags that cue ball right across the spot where the 9 lays.
Again, Jeremy, perhaps if you could explain to anyone who might be relatively new to the game, what exactly is the significance of it being the one in the side that you make off the break rather than just trying to make something? Why is that such a key factor for players?
Well, I mean, with the rule change to racking the 9 on the spot, you can see up the table, the lines on the table. We have a break box. So percentage-wise, you know, the 1 is the ball you're hitting. So that is the shot that, you know, the ball that you feel like you could control off the rack a bit more. You know, when the 1 was racked on the spot, it became very easy the game for these players just because they become so good. And so it'd be more about the wing ball, one of the ones that are racked on the corners. And it became fairly routine to make that. So it didn't take much of a break to really get going.
Meanwhile, another unexpected miss. We've seen a few of those early on. Gorst passing up the opportunity after that finished nicely for him off the break. So can Woodward mop up again. Over on the other table, David O'Cady with the 9 in the side. Well, we saw a moment to remember from Van Boning in that rack, but it's O'Cady who wins it, so back to just 1 behind now, 4-3.
I'll tell you, for any player, Fedor Gorst or not, very dangerous to let this man get the arm going. Especially behind some mistakes. I can't imagine the mentality doesn't matter where you leave the balls. When you're the one coming off a miss, your incoming player just seems to be even better.
Well, if they do go level at 3-all, I think Gorst might be a bit frustrated by that, because not much would have had to happen differently for him to have a decent lead at this stage. Really passed up a good opening here.
Yeah, and really besides that first game and that long 2-ball that Skyler missed, Gorst has definitely had the opportunities after the break. And really easy opportunities for the most part on the blue too.
Well, we spoke earlier about how wonderfully efficient he was during that run of half a dozen racks in a row to knock out Alexa Pechels yesterday. Not been quite the same so far today, and Woodward is on course here to take his opportunity to continue the sequence of exchanging racks 1 for 1 and draw level for a third time.
Yeah, you could see he got awkward straight there. Didn't want to draw and just have to use the speed control for the 9 in the lower left. So a smart play, drawing back past the 9.
Wow. Make it 1 each in terms of the unexpected misses in this rack. Now, what's he left?
I think that 9 has ended up on the back cushion.
Yeah. Got away with it.
Got a little quick with the backswing there. And
Extension called.
adrenaline gets going. That's the tendency for all of us. I think he goes for the bank here. If he feels comfortable cueing a little downward on the ball, he can kind of recreate the angle here on the 9. Is he looking at like a 3-railer in the side or a 4-railer? And the reason like this type of shot, if he plays a 3-railer or 4-railer, is he's trying to bring the cue ball back where it's at now. Maybe a backdoor safety. 3 in the side. No, this is going to go long. It's going to get a little thin for Skyler. Cue ball near the rail, but you can see where he pointed, and that's where he wanted the cue ball.
Yeah, I was saying Woodward has got away with it by not leaving anything easy. He's got away with it even more, it seems now, because it's another good chance to draw level. Gorst didn't get away with his miss early on in the rack. Woodward did
wins the
get
rack.
away with his unexpected miss on the 9. So we're level again. 3-all.
mind him shooting at it. The only reason I would have maybe considered the safety just because it was there. And Fedor Gorst has missed a few balls, right? I mean, so maybe leave something tough or consider it anyways, but hard to question attacking.
Daniel Maciol broke dry in the
Extension
deciding rack,
called.
but he is back at the table now against Dennis Graber. And he's just cut in the 1 from distance. And I think he may be on the 2 to some extent anyway. You have a slightly better view there, Jay.
Yeah, he's on it, but he's pretty straight and very hard to move the cue ball with the 3-down table. So he's going to have to make a nice shot to move the cue ball and then a really nice shot on the red 3. Watch out, cue ball here. So we'll keep you updated. But Daniel, like, I don't know what they do in Poland, but Daniel, like many of the Polish players, it just seems like the game comes kind of easy to him as far as like moving the cue ball, knocking balls in, real simple with the stroke. Very natural players. Okay, a little bump. Very happy that got away from the 9. I think SVB starting to get some shots after the break, so watch out for Captain America.
Maciol is still at the table in that deciding rack against Graber. Just potted decent 3 ball. Back here, Gorst now doing the chasing for the first time in this last 16 encounter. You would expect him to draw level here, but he's not been his usual efficient self so far today, so let's not mark it down just yet.
Yeah, we'll have a break after 9 games, and I think you'll see Fedor exit the arena and get his, kind of mind right, get a breath of fresh air. He did that quite a bit in Saudi.
Well, that was just an incredible week for him. Lost his first match to Mustafa Alnar, who's been one of the big stars of this tournament as well, and went over to the loser's side, and so many times was well behind in matches, on the brink of going out of the championship, and just kept staying in it and ended up as the winner for the 2nd time in his career.
Yeah, what a final. Looked like at times he was going to win easy, and Kachi just would not give up. Kind of shot his way out of a few situations to get back in the match and end up taking the lead late before Gorst got the last few games. Boy, it looks like Maciel's going to do it, make the incredible comeback from 7-1 down, and tell you what, that's going to be a pretty big body blow there for Dennis Graber.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been to the semi-finals of the World Cup of Pool with Estonia a few years ago. This would have been a big moment for him to get to the quarterfinals here, and he looks set to do it at 7-1. And Daniel Maciol, the 24-year-old from Poland, knocked out the defending champion Albin Ocean here last year, got to the last 16. And if this 9 goes down, he will have won 9 of the last 11 racks. To go through to the last 8. Heartbreak for Dennis Graber, a real stalwart of the thriving European pool scene. But Daniel Maciol has got the widest smile in Fulda right now. He's into the last 8. And he will play either Fedor Gorst or Skyler Woodward there later today. While we were keeping on top of everything going on elsewhere, Gorst has levelled the match. Yeah, I'm not a big believer in the idea that if you keep knocking on the door in any sporting context, it's bound to open eventually. But what's obvious is that if you keep putting yourself in position, you greatly increase your chances. And that's what Maciol has done. He's kept getting through to later stages. Of course, you want to be there for quarters and semi-finals. And now he's taken his latest opportunity on a day when it didn't look likely. Grab a 7-1 up in that one. So we do have the majority of our quarter-finalists now. We know that Mickey Kraus will play Ko Ping Chung, the US Open champion. We know that Johan Chua will face Mustafa Alnar, who ended the hopes of the last remaining home player, Joshua Filler, earlier.
The match is tied, 4 racks each.
And now we have our 5th quarter-finalist in Daniel Maciol. Remember, quarters will be later today. Semis back-to-back, and then the final tomorrow.
Yeah, put a little more on that one. Didn't make the one. He's going to get a look at it, though. SVB has taken a 6-3 lead. He's broken, got another shot. Not easy, but definitely playable.
First time in the match, Gorst hasn't made the one off the break.
Looks like he's going to try and be pretty aggressive with this safety, maybe trying to come in behind the purple. Is he just floating one rail behind it? Is he trying to use the bottom cushion? Yeah, he's going to go right into the 6, so don't think that was the idea. And it was hard to get the snooker behind the purple, so I think he really put the focus on the one ball placement. I think not bad. There's a tough one on the side, I think, that does play, but he's got to really work the cue ball. He's got kind of an angle going away. Can he play the one in the upper
Extension
left?
called.
Michael, that's fooling me if he can.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought he could. The picture does fool us sometimes. Trying to take a look at it now in real life, as it were, just leaning over and looking at the table, and it doesn't look there as though he can make that shot. Meanwhile, this is turning into a dream afternoon for Shane Van Boening, looking for another really deep run at the European Open, like he's had in both of the last 2 years. And he is going to lead 7-3, so it seems there's every chance now that both past winners of this title could go out in the same round after Alban Ocean's defeat earlier. So tell us about the shot Gorst has just played there, Jake.
Yeah, he overcut it, but which kind of made sense. Him questioning, I think it was a question mark if he could play it in the corner. And maybe he thought he maybe could. You notice where the brown 7 is.
Extension called.
Right? I mean, brown 7 really protects that one ball being missed in the upper left corner. So maybe he said to himself, let's take a chance. I'm surprised he's not kicking behind this. Maybe he can come across and lay him down behind the 3, but I think that's touchier than the kick shot, really. Yeah, that happens so often. You end up short. You're always thinking about over-hitting the shot. I really think he should have kicked to the short cushion there. Now, if you missed a couple balls, now what makes these players so great, the top guys, and of course no one's better right now than Gorst, is leaving those misses behind. But this is no hanger, even though very straight. Yeah, he's not settled for sure. You can tell the timing's a hair off. From here on out, I think Skyler, if he wants this win, you got to pounce on all these mistakes.
It's a long way off, of course, but Fedor Gorst will be back in Saudi Arabia next summer to defend his world title. The last time he was the defending champion, he went out quite early in the last 64, and it was the man in your picture there who actually knocked him out. Went on to get to the quarterfinals and lost to Alban Ocean, who succeeded Gorst as champion.
Yeah, another former world champion of late FSR grabs his first lead at 7-6. He's trailed the entire match. Little light with the cue ball there just because the angle's not needed, right? So you don't want to get too much of a missable ball, but should be okay. Center cut. Our reigning champion of the European Open, David Alcady. I think he's in tough waters at the moment. You know, SVB seems to be in form, and the way the tables have played and just the way the tournament has gone, it's been hard to make up those big deficits, even though we just saw one from Daniel Massiel.
Fedor Gorst has been the man of 2024 so far, but there's no denying that on this Saturday afternoon here in Fulda, he is well below his best so far. Right now, Skyler Woodward is making it count. He leads 5-4. Still 3 places to be decided in tonight's European Open quarter-final lineup. One of them going on over on table 1. David Al-Kaidi needed to have something like that happen, or just any sort of turning point to get back in the match here against Shane Van Boening. Bit of good fortune there. Al-Kaidi won the title last year in a hill finish against Anton Raga. Made a decent start in this match, but Shane Van Boening has taken total control, really, and leads 7-3. A chance here for Al-Kaidi really to stay in the match, because from 8-3 down, it's getting towards the realms of looking for a bit of a miracle. Beat Van Boening on his way to the title last year. They'd been struggling a bit for about a year prior to that. Went to a smaller event in Glasgow and won that. It was a pretty limited field. It seemed to still make a big difference to him, though, because it gave him a bit more confidence. I spoke to him during the tournament last year at a great length, really, and he was telling me about how confident he was. He had changed a lot of things. He felt he was going in the right direction in every way, and ended the week as champion. And with that, David O'Cady clinches a much-needed rack. Shane Van Boening still looking good, though, at 7-4. Back to the main table. What have we got here? So he's made a couple of balls off the break. Skyler Woodward leading 5-4 over Fedor Gorst. So what do you make of that move?
Yeah, I would have liked to put the cue ball on the rail, though. I don't think he's going to get this back with the 6-4-9 the way it lays. You know, anytime the safety is going to be easy, you don't want to leave the cue ball on the rail. Easy to apply that right spin, come across the 3 and bleed the cue ball over behind the 6. They've caught it a little fat. May leave a jump shot here. It's going to be close. Back in the day, you know, when I first started playing professional pool, when you saw a push out, it was almost always pushed out on the rail, the cue ball. Ooh, what a difficult hit here. Why doesn't he go to the bottom cushion? Easy to scratch. Yeah, I didn't understand that kick at all. Not one bit, Michael. Could have come to the bottom cushion on the bottom of your screen, up at the 3, no scratch really available.
And look at the chance he's left for Gorst with ball in hand.
He's going to slide over for short side on the purple.
So it was a strange decision from Woodward, wasn't it? Can you see any rationale to what he did?
You know, I think I did hear the beeps going off. Maybe he got a little rushed. I don't know. I wasn't in love with the push out to begin with a little bit. I thought he left it a little more simple than he should. The push out, you want to have a chance to get it back. And there was never going to be that opportunity for Skyler. Now he's falling a little straight, so he may have to get a little thin on the 7 here. Shouldn't be a problem. Hey, this is all about speed control. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, but it's gotten away from players at times. Usually the thinner hits can be a problem. Watch out, 9 ball. I know he's got us snookered, but that was almost a big problem. Yeah, Katie's gotten another one back.
Yeah, 2 in a row now for the defending champ against Shane Van Boening. So 7-3 quite swiftly has turned to 7-5.
Speaking of 7s, all knotted at 7 with Wolford and FSR.
Well, this one has been level at 1-all, at 2-all, at 3-all, at 4-all. And now again, Fedor Gorst capitalises on that ball in hand, and the surprising choice from Woodward. It's 5-all. One thing you do have to say about Gorst is he's had a pretty good record over the last year or so of having matches like this where it's level for a lot of the way, and then he finds an extra gear and makes a dash for the line. It happened yesterday against Alexa Pechelj. It happened in the semi-finals of the World Masters earlier in the year. From 7-all, he streaked away to beat Jason Shaw 11-7. So he needs to do something similar again, you would think. Over on table 2, this is Shane Wolford, part of the American Mosconi Cup team for the first time last year. Actually played in the last match of the week as David O'Cady edged him out in a hill-hill finish to clinch the cup for Europe. Wolford was 5-2 up against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. It's now 7-all. He's a couple of balls away from regaining the lead, getting within 2 of victory.
Oh, he's overdrawn this a piece. I don't think he was going for the side, maybe. So pretty amped up, and no cupcake in these side pockets, especially when queuing off the rail. And you can't say he hit it poorly. I mean, anytime it catches both jaws at once or twice, you know, kind of bouncing around the pocket, you know you hit it pretty well. Just those sides are just, you know, tough customers.
Yeah, classic case of that wasn't the mistake. That had come in the previous shot. It could have turned out worse.
Yeah, again, queuing off the rail. I always feel like the key to these thin ones in the side is don't baby it so much. You got to hit it pretty pure anyways. So, of course, you're not going to rifle it, but, you know, nice, confident kind of medium stroke. Katie made a great shot on the 1, snookered on the 2, but SVB back to the table. Yeah, I like that stroke, even though he missed it. He may fluke it, though.
Wolford missed his first chance to be the first to get within 1 of the hill. He's taken the opportunity this time, though. So Shane Wolford back in front against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz at 8-7.
To break.
Wonderful setup here, isn't it? Because
5 racks each.
Game of 9-ball is played over such a small area, really, when you consider the size of the table, and they're all quite close together. So put yourself in the right spot. You can follow every match perfectly. Wonderful setup in Fulda. And it's 5-all here in the last 16.
Yeah, this is why what Michael talked about, being able to hit that extra gear when needed. That break shot of Fedor Gorst usually comes through, and it's come through again here.
Emily Fraser there, the head of Matchroom, with Dr. Nasser from the Saudi Arabia Billiards and Snooker Federation. And of course, Saudi Arabia, very much part of the scene now on the World 9-ball Tour. We were there a couple of months ago as the country hosted the World Championship for the first time. The first of at least 10. It is a decade-long deal.
Yeah, the good doctor was an incredible host for everyone. You were there, got to see that incredible venue, but he really gave time to all the players to meet them and talk to them and, you know, kind of get to know them. Just going to be a long relationship there in Saudi Arabia for the World 9-ball Championship.
It's a championship that Shane Van Boning has won in the past in the slightly colder climate of Milton Keynes. And he's closing in on a potential quarter-final place here in Fulda. One shot away, it seems, from an inevitable 8-5 lead. And Bonin only needs 2 more, and it could be an All-American quarter-final for him. He will face the winner of that Wolford FSR match if he gets through. Meanwhile, an All-American last 16 encounter going on the main table. Let's get back to that.
Extension called.
Yeah, Gorst trying to get what seems like, or at least somewhat of a rare break and run. Just haven't had a lot of them.
Well, not only rare, non-existent.
Yeah, well, this match, but
Yeah.
But we've should have had a few. Really.
Oh, I see what you mean. Over the course of the tournament.
Yeah, it's just
definitely.
been down as a whole. And it seems like, you know, from what I've heard from the players is the tables again aren't easy, but compared to maybe the last time we played on the diamond was the UK Open, and they're playing a bit more friendly than they did there.
Sort of 8 and 9 you dream of to finish off a crucial rack in a big match. So the last time Gorst led was at 3-2. And now with the first break and run of the contest. He goes 1 clear at 6-5. Still never been more than a single rack in it either way. Now it's also pretty close on table 2. Shane Wolford did lead 5-2 against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, and he only won 2 of the next 7 racks. And he won the 15th after that dramatic finish that we dipped in for. And now it looks as though he's got ball in hand and the chance to get to the hill.
Yeah, I'm not sure he could play an offensive shot.
10. Extension.
They have to play a safety to try and get possibly another ball in hand, or at least some kind of offensive shot. Looks like he's going to draw behind the 7. This pink is going to come up a little bit, so the jump cue will be in play. One of the best jumpers in the business, FSR, at the table. FSR didn't play his best the first round, but got better and better. This one seems like it's been pretty high quality. We did see those missed 9s in the last rack, but they played games quickly, so you got to believe it's been pretty good pool overall.
So prior to the previous rack, I talked about Gorst's growing reputation for putting in big finishes to close matches. He's made a good start in that regard this time. Break and run has put him 6-5 up.
Yeah, that's another thin hit on the 1, so I got to believe that's by design. Did he make 2 or 3 on the break?
3 balls he's made there, yeah.
Next to the 3, so I'll tell you, if he doesn't win this match, you know, he's going to regret it, just because all the opportunities in comparison to his opponent that he's had after the break. Definitely there for another break and run. Pretty much perfect on the 3 to get, I believe it's the 5 up the table. Yes, it is. A little work from the 6 to the 7, but yeah, look where he points there. That's just 2 cushions to that spot.
We always talk about how expensive even one error can be in this game. And Skyler Woodward may well be reflecting on that at the moment as he sits in his chair looking on. He made that questionable shot selection a couple of racks ago. He was leading 5-4 at the time. Scratched in the side, gave up ball in hand, and he's not been back to the table since. As Gorst closes in on back-to-back breaking runs.
Yeah, the 7's a little near the rail, so anytime you're in that position, you want to make sure you're off the rail with the cue ball. Not too straight. Needs a little angle.
Gorst got to the quarterfinals on his European Open debut last year. Just edged out by Joshua Filler in a hill-hill finish. Just seems to be stepping things up a bit as the prospect of another last 8 appearance tonight begins to appear on the horizon.
Yeah, Wolford's taking the lead at 8-7 over FSR. David Alcady hanging out, still in the match. Just missed the 7, though.
Back here, it was another dream 8-9 to finish it off for Gorst. So neither player has been more than one rack in front at any stage of this last 16 encounter. (7-5) is not a bad time to change that.
Fedor
3 racks on the spin for Fedor Gorst. 3 more, and he'll be here tonight for the quarters. Now let's take a look in again on this Alcady-Van Boning match. A lot of history between these two, including a semi-final here in Fulda last year, which went Alcady's way.
It's going to be wide. Always difficult when you're close to the ball. You don't have that space between to really kind of get the shot line, as you would call it. Huge shot here for Alcady after a missed 7 in this same rack.
Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has won rack 16 to keep Shane Wolford off the hill. They're now level at 8-all. So, another chance for the 8 into this same pocket for Van Boning from much closer range.
A little bit funny here behind it. It's got to hit it clean.
Biggest shot of the match so far. So reliable, so efficient, and so close now to a place in the quarterfinals. Van Boning on the hill at 9-5. Closing in now on completing our lineup for tonight's quarterfinals at the European Open here in Fulda. Shane Van Boning needs one more against David O'Cady. It's 9-5 there. 8-all between Shane Wolford and Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz. And here on the main table, the man of the moment, the man of 2024, Fedor Gorst, has won 3 in a row to take control against Skyler Woodward. He's breaking with a 7-5 lead and needs 3 more. Six out of 7 for Gorst as far as making the one in the side off the break is concerned in this match. But how have they finished, Jay?
Well, not bad. I mean, at least he's got to look at the blue 2. I don't know if the 2-4 is a real playable combination, like high percentage, even though the 4 is very close. I think it is off the rail a little bit. He can cue the ball pretty nicely. And I'm totally convinced that he's playing a thinner hit on the 1 than we normally see. Just had something special happen. We're not sure what.
Well, that must be the Wolford FSR match. Don't know if you can quite reach over to see it there.
Yeah, it was a safety shot from FSR. I did see the layout that Wolford had left him. Wolford's kick safe, right? Well, maybe not. I don't think FSR has a shot, but we'll let you know here shortly. Didn't get the safety here, huh? Didn't get the snooker.
So heading towards the finish on the main table. And the finish maybe just moments away on table 1. Shane Van Boning got out into a big lead against the defending champion David O'Cady. Spanish player came back, but we saw the end of that previous rack. Full of tension. Van Boning took it. To make a testing 9. Get to the hill at 9-5. O'Cady then knew he would need to win 5 racks in a row against one of the greatest players there's ever been. And the chance of even getting started down that road may be taken away from him in a couple of shots' time. What a great record Van Boning's got here, Jeremy. Runner-up, 2 racks away from winning it in the inaugural year. Then a semi-finalist last year. It looks as though he's going to be 3 out of 3 in terms of making it as far as the last 8 at least since we first came here in 2022. Alban Ocean, who won it that year, went out earlier today to Mickey Kraus. And now David O'Cady is gone as well. So there will be a first-time winner of this European Open. Maybe it's going to be the 2022 world champion. Shane Van Boning defeats David O'Cady 10-5. He'll be back here tonight for the quarters.
Yeah, and the question mark in SVB's career there for a while was about his international play, and it's amazing how he's really shown us later in his career that maybe it was just a little bit of a bad run at times, because he's certainly getting it done here in Fulda. All right, does he lay him up behind the 3 here? I was thinking he might go for the combination. Not much love there with the cue ball. So we'll see what type of kick shot he decides here. It was a crucial one earlier. Another big one here in game number 13. Got to go 2 or 3 cushions to the backside, whichever you're comfortable with. Of course, we all are playing all ball fouls, so he's got to watch the cueing near the 6. I kind of like the 2 rail a little more than the 3 myself, but like I said, he's at the table. Great hit. Needs some love. Don't think he's going to get it.
Think of the number of tournaments we've been at together over the last few years, JJ, where it's got down to the later stages, and I've had to ask you for a comment on there being only 1 American in the last 16 or no Americans still involved at a late stage. Not been many times recently where you would have thought the day was imminent where we'd have 3 Americans in the quarterfinals of a big tournament, but it's a very real prospect. Van Boning through. There'll be an American winner here, obviously. And Shane Wolford still level at 8-all with Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz.
And Shane Wolford on the 7 as well, so he fought for that shot on the 5. They exchanged 3 or 4 safeties. He's hit that shot a little heavy. He's going to have to make maybe a bank shot on the black 8.
While that's going on, Gorst has a wonderful opportunity here. And it's turning out very similar to yesterday against Alexa Pechelj in the last 32. Wasn't at his absolute best early on. It was close going for most of the way, and then he just calmly, patiently took charge of proceedings. Steadily made his way to the line, and in the end had a margin of victory that didn't really reflect the narrative under which the contest had developed.
And really, you could look at this match a few ways. Could be closer, could be more like about, you know, a 9-3 score, really, with the shots after the break that Federer didn't take advantage of. But break seems to be getting better and better, so dangerous territory for Sky Wood.
Skyler Woodward is just about Fedor Gorst's best mate on the World 9-Ball Tour. But Gorst is setting that to one side and being absolutely ruthless at the moment. 4 in a row. He just needs a couple more now. Gorst leads 8-5. So just 2 places left up for grabs in tonight's quarterfinals. There's the one we're seeing contested on the main table, and over on table 2, Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz has just gone within 1 rack of claiming the other. He now leads Shane Wolford 9-8. Sanchez-Ruiz had such a great run, didn't he? Around about a year and a half ago to 2 years. He was already in good form when he went to the US Open, then he won that. Part of a winning Mosconi team on his debut a couple of months later. And then in early 2023, amid the snows in Poland, he became world champion for the first time. And at that point, he was looking like such a dominant figure in the game. Things have steadily slipped away. Wouldn't say he's gone into a massive slump, but he hasn't been able to continue that domination, and went out relatively early in defense of his world title in Saudi Arabia earlier in the summer. Maybe the pressure's been taken off him a little bit now. He isn't #1 in the rankings anymore. He isn't world champion anymore. He isn't the man of the moment. That's now Fedor Gorst. Maybe Sanchez-Ruiz can get back to just relaxing a bit more. Playing his best stuff. He's made the 1 in the side, and he's made the 9 in the corner! Heartbreak for Shane Wolford. He led 5-2 in this match. And he was right in contention all the way to the finish. But what a horrible way that is for Shane Wolford to see his campaign come to an end.
Yeah, hats off to FSR for maintaining that early deficit and overcoming it. But Shane, hats off to a nice tournament to him for sure, but a little painful. He was at the table with the 7, 8, 9 when it was 8-8.
Quiet, please.
And if you're wondering whether all the fuss is about,
Rack 14.
if you're new to the game, that was
Fedor
a golden
goes to break.
break. So as I've said, you hit the
Think
lowest
about
numbered
8
ball
racks
on
to
the table
5.
first. Any pot is legal, and it keeps you at the table. Whoever pots the 9 wins the rack. And if that happens on the opening shot, so be it. A golden break clinches victory for FSR. And he will now play Shane Van Boening in a mouth-watering quarter-final. 1 place left up for grabs. Gorst closing in on it. And he's made the 1 in the side again, Jeremy.
And by far the break that we're used to seeing. By far the best one of the match for Gorst. And he's got another look at the blue too. Is it a cut shot in the side? Is the 8 impeding that? There's definitely a bank available. Yeah, it looks like the bank it'll be. Now it's all about, can he get position on the red 3? Wants to say aggressive. What's he on? Is he on 2 breaking runs out of the last 3? Is that right?
That is spot on.
So I think if he banks it, the way the angle looks, he may have to draw the cue ball back where he's standing now, and then let it spin back for the red 3. Absolutely one of the best bankers. Both these guys.
Extension called.
Skyler and Fedor. Most of your great 9-ball players are actually pretty good bankers anyways, but he's actually one of the cream of the crop.
I know it's been said many times over the years, Billy Thorpe is the best banker of all. You still think that's the case?
I don't know. I mean, I think Billy has more banks in his repertoire, but I mean, when it comes down to it, a lot of banks don't come up, right? I mean, I think this guy here is one that Billy would have trouble beating, but now an opening for Skyler Woodward.
Well, you would have to feel if Gorst had run out from the break again, 9-5, it doesn't feel like something that would have been all that likely to happen to see Woodward come back and win 5 in a row. So
Extension
this
called.
is a timely opportunity for the American.
Yeah, and that little bump on the pink on the miss there made this position play. You can see how deep this ball is. He'd like to go rail first, but can he manage getting around the 6, 8, 9 and back up table? May have to just kind of put some speed on this and just, I wouldn't say get lucky, but just kind of let it do what it's going to do, because it's hard to predict. Well, it settled better than I thought off the top cushion, so now he can cut this in and come up and down the right side. A must run out, I think, for Skyler Woodward to stay in this match. Okay, that may fall below the 5. This could be a little bit of problems. I don't know if this is going to be playable, Michael. Hit the 4 clean, but the speed was off. And knowing Skyler, he may take on this cross-side bank right here. Trying to get a game on his side and then maybe a break and run or 2 to get back in it. A lot of players would definitely just play safe, and it looks like that's what he's going to do. Okay, line looks nice. Speed looks really good. The problem is how great these players are at kicking at the ball. I wouldn't put Skyler as much of a favorite, if any at all, from here. Should hit this pretty squarely, hold the cue ball. And that's why I thought he might go for the bank. That being Skyler. Now it's going to be the jump cue, I believe. I think he's partially snookered. Maybe the type of shot he can jump with his full cue, though. And he's got to get moving.
Was the sort of shot that could have got his comeback moving, the beeps going, pulling out a big pot. Would have given him something to build on, as it is now. Great opening left for Gorst to get to the hill.
Just a little draw stun here, coming 2 rails across. Routine 9. Of course, you have to maintain with these small pockets. Will be Gorst's last time to break the balls at 9-5, but he's been so good on the breaking in.
Fedor Gorst wins the rack.
It wasn't absolutely certain, but really the way Gorst has stepped it up, I always felt there was very little chance of anything going wrong once he was left that chance with just the last few balls remaining on the table. And all of a sudden, the contest that was close for so much of the way is taking on the look of a very comfortable win for Gorst. Just needs one more now at 9-5. Horrible for Shane Wolford, though, isn't it? Jeremy, you look at it, he's been to the last 16 of a big Matchroom Open event before, the UK Open in London last year, and he was just narrowly beaten by Meshko Fortunski in a hill-hill finish. And then having led for much of the way against FSR, that's just heartbreaking to be only one behind, and then your opponent pulls out a golden break.
Yeah, and you know, you get punished that way when you don't get out. We always talk about it when they make the 9 on the break on you after you had a chance in the previous game. But, you know, he had a chance at that hill-hill match with Fortunski. Got away from him. That one there got away. But hopefully it'll just keep him motivated, go home, get a little rest, put some training in, and then just keep performing like he did here for the U.S. Open.
Made his Moscone debut, as I said, last year. Only the second player from Virginia to feature on the US team. So that quarter-final lineup so nearly complete. I think the standout match is obvious, isn't it? SVB against FSR. They were the last two world champions before this man claimed it, Jeremy. And now what he's looking to claim is a quarter-final spot.
He's the only Virginian to ever make the Moscone?
The second.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
There was one other, but I thought there was two other, but I might be wrong. Brandon Schuff and Charlie Williams. Charlie Williams wasn't from Newport News, Virginia?
Don't think he officially represented Virginia.
Okay, I think he was born there, though. Him and Max Eberly, both from Newport News.
Yeah, Schuff just made one appearance.
Showed enough Schuff. He'll be at the U.S. Open, I'm sure. Probably won a qualifier. Maybe got a wild card. Okay, on the rail. If he wasn't on the rail a little closer, he might take this on. I think he may just elevate, bang the two away, and hold him behind the brown. It's a super tough shot into these side pockets. Does offer position with a little speed, but he's taking the extension off, so that usually means he's going to elevate a little bit off the back rail. Still subtle. Any miss hit on the two, it gets away, but this guy just doesn't miss hit many. Great touch.
I think the thing with Charlie Williams was he was actually born in South Korea. So I think that is maybe why he's not considered.
Yeah, okay,
but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, he was raised there. That's right,
Yeah.
in Virginia. You're
So
right.
he is just listed as having been born outside the US, but
Right.
we'll call it 3 from Virginia then. Seems fair enough. After all that state has given to the game over the years, home of the US Open for so long.
Oh, he needed one. He needed one, Michael. I don't know if he's got anything on the 3, but well, still in it. Got to stay positive here. Got mad skills like Skyler Woodward. I mean, he certainly beat all these guys 5 games in a row.
Well, sometimes when a player is in a strong position in a match, you see a spring in their step, and sometimes it happens when they're on the brink of losing it and they start strutting around the place. The shackles are thrown off a bit. That's the body language coming from Woodward right now.
Well, you asked about the best bankers. And, you know, when the pressure's on, especially playing 9-ball, in the big moments, we've seen it in the Moscone, this guy is just about as good as it gets also. Big kick shot there on the blue 2, even bigger bank on the 3. fall a little straight, so he's going to have to draw back into position. He should stun one or maybe two rails for the 9 in the side. I like that little extra time. He's still in this match. He's been breaking pretty well. Just got to get that going.
Well, Alexa Pechelge was in exactly this position yesterday. Needed to win all of the last 5 racks to beat Fedor Gorst. He didn't even get started down that road in the end, but Skyler Woodward has. Now he needs another 4. 9-6 to the world champ. Fedor Gorst is on the brink of a quarter-final place at the European Open for the 2nd year in a row, but he's not there yet. 5 racks in a row took him to the hill against Skyler Woodward at 9-5. But Woodward has got it back to 9-6, still a long way back from there. This is the prize money. Just for getting to this stage, making the weekend, you're already on $4,000, and then it goes up quite quickly. Survive to tonight's quarterfinals, it becomes 6,000. 9.5 if you make it through to tomorrow in the semi-finals, and then that increases to 15,000. Once you've made it to the final, you're on that guarantee, and it is literally a case of double your money at that stage. $30,000 for the winner. And don't forget, every one of those dollars translates as a world ranking point, a Moscone Cup point, a Reyes Cup point if you're either European or Asian. So many interlocking narratives on the World 9-Ball Tour nowadays. But at this moment for Skyler Woodward, it's all distilled into trying to win another 4 racks. And this will help Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's broke the balls pretty well overall. Hasn't really had many looks past that first tough shot, the first game. It's much easier.
Yeah, he's only missed the one in the side that we always talk about once out of 7 attempts now in this match.
Yeah, any of these players, you know, we've already seen one huge comeback from Maciel. But anytime, you know, winter break format, tough breaking format as far as to be able to put racks together, but very doable for these players, though. Anytime you're like 9-5, 9-6, you're definitely in striking distance. Of course, you can't afford any error. Got a little more cut on the 3 than he wanted, but should be able to float above.
I know with the other great American player of recent years, Shane Van Boening, you like to talk about the crazy eyes that you see in him sometimes towards the end of a match. I think we're seeing a bit of that from Woodward here. He looks really fired up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a few shots he'd like to have back in this match. There's almost always players have that kind of situation, but I think his win yesterday and putting together a few grinding wins, making himself believe, and it's easy for the man to stay confident. He's a confident kind of guy anyways. He's got to play a bit of a shot here position-wise. It's going to be overhit, isn't it? No, it's going to be just right. Yeah, really good speed. Anytime you're crossing that position line from some distance to get the speed right on point is pretty impressive. Now a little stun draw may come back to the rail. And he's got that perfect little slight angle on the 8 to draw up the right side of the table. Just watch the speed.
What a wonderful time to make his first break and run of the match. It was looking bleak at 9-5, 9-7. Looks a great deal more promising. Skyler Woodward on the march here. And the world champion Fedor Gorst still needs one more. Talked earlier about Shane Van Boening against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. That's the real heavyweight standout clash of the quarterfinals tonight. And just to tell you what the other matches are going to be, Johan Chua, world championship semi-finalist recently, backing it up by beating the other losing semi-finalist from the world championship, Wojciech Szewczyk, earlier today. So Chua will now face Mustafa Alnar in the last 8 tonight. Alnar through after beating Joshua Filler for the 2nd time this week and ending the last remaining hope of a home winner of this title. And we've got Mickey Kraus, who had a good world championship. He's won a small ranking event in Romania since then. He beat Albin Ocean 10-2 earlier today, and he'll play Ko Ping Chung. All 3 of the Ko brothers made the last 32. KPC the only one left a week or so before he starts his US Open title defence. So that's all to come. The only player through to the quarterfinals who doesn't know his opponent yet is Daniel Maciel, because he will face the winner of this match. And Skyler Woodward is maintaining the weight and the uncertainty a bit longer.
Rack 17, Skyler Woodward to break, trailing by 9 racks to 7.
A little quick there. That's why he caught it thin. That's why he raised the hand. It wasn't the purest hit on the one, but Tell you, Fedor's had 3 or 4 of those as well and came away with shots. So setting up for a chance for another break and run, making 2 on the break. He's got a few options from the 2 to the 3. I kind of like going forward for the 3 on the opposite side myself. You could draw back.
He was looking so good for so much of 2023. He's doing well in a number of smaller but still very good and high quality ranking events in the US. He was travelling further afield over to Europe and doing well on this side of the Atlantic as well. Woodward's got to the semi-finals of both the UK Open and the Spanish Open in the early part of last summer. And it did start to fade a bit, and overall it was a decent year for him. Hasn't happened for him so far in 24, as we've been saying. It was okay at the UK Open, got to the last 16, but didn't even make single elimination at the World Championship, which is a real letdown for a player of his class. You would have to feel if he could come from 9-5 down to beat Fedor Gorst, who's having the time of his life at the moment. It's the sort of thing that could turn around his year and his whole career.
Yeah, kind of piecing this rack together. A little awkward here. Can't quite easily just roll up for the 7 in the side. Has to get into the cue ball if he comes above.
Extension called.
I like the extension, trying to make a pretty solid decision. Inside, not really the best. I'd probably cue down and come backwards 2 rails, kind of a low outside, low right English. Could come at the 7 a little bit, but that's dangerous. I think he's got to cue downward here with low right. Pull the ball 2 cushions out to the center of the table.
Looks to have arrived at a key juncture in his attempted turnaround. And that will do just fine.
Yeah, it was a little awkward cueing, kind of angled off the side rail, but he managed it really well.
And now it's the classic straightforward 8 and 9. Into opposite corner pockets. This contest looked Gorst's all over at 9-5. It's anyone's now. Skyler Woodward will break on the 18th rack with a chance to take us the full distance. Who would have seen this coming only about 15 minutes ago, Jeremy? But that's the game, isn't it?
Yeah, if you remember, it was 9-5, and Gorst broke the balls really well. Had a tester off the bottom rail that I would not have shot at either. He played a jam-up safety. It was a kick-in. The upper corner, 1 rail on the 2 from Skyler, and then a long rail bank on the 3. And Gorst has been in the chair ever since.
We were talking earlier about how the quality of play had trailed off a bit after a promising start. Well, racks 11 and 12, back-to-back break and runs for Gorst. Racks 16 and 17, Woodward returning the compliment. We talked also about Gorst and his ability to step it up towards the end of a big match that he's shown so often over the last year or two. Well, Woodward is showing the same. You can see the 2 break and runs each. A lot of missed pots. Many of those were early on in the match, though.
Yeah, and sometimes, like the last match we had on here, they're kind of 2-way shots a little bit. But I kind of felt like Gorst had missed more balls, but look at the long pot success. That's a big difference there at 80, almost 80% for Gorst and 33% for Skyler.
Rack 18, Skyler Woodward to break. Trailing by 9 racks to 8.
All right, caught it thick. Watch out, cue ball. The 7 may need to help him, and it has. He's got a little bit of a look at the blue too. I think he can see it. He's got the back rail to use. This cue ball may have gotten lost if it wasn't for the 7. No, it looked like it would have missed it, but now a difficult decision. Again, I think he can get at it. He's going to take a little time here. I thought he might consider cutting it, trying to play it over and come at the 6 with the cue ball, using the 5, 9, and 8 maybe as some blockers, but that shows us he doesn't have any of the 2. So it's got to be the kick shot. And he may go to try and kick this in a little more with the safety in mind also. Reason being, he's got a big pocket for the red 3 with the 7 hanging up in that upper right corner. So this is going to be a bit much speed. It may be okay though. It's gotten pretty funny.
Well, the last time Fedor Gorst came to the table, he was leading 9-5.
Extension called.
The last time he was at the table, he hit the shot exactly how he wanted. It still wasn't enough to keep Skyler Woodward off 3 in a row. Interested to see how he plays this. Sometimes on the one-railers, Fedor can tend to overhit him and lose his accuracy on the kick itself. It's not often, but it does creep in there. He's going with a high ball, so that looks like probably not too much speed.
Foul shot. Ball in hand.
Oh, Michael, there's a lot of work, and it's a
Please
funny
start the
looking
clock.
rack with all 6 or 7 of these balls on the right side, but we're just a step away from hill.
Yeah, and even with all that work to do, I think if you'd offered Woodward 20 minutes ago the chance to have this table to take us hill, no question what he would have said.
Yeah, he wants to play the 2-4 combination. The reason why is it's a little funny to get on the purple. That's the toughest ball, and if you take this 4 away, now you're coming off the red 3, which is much closer to the purple to get position on that 5. I think the right, excuse me, I think the right shot from Fedor though with the soft kick, it just, didn't work out. All right, just didn't want to get too much of an angle here. I don't know if that's exactly what he wanted. Yeah, he wanted to get much more heavy just because that gives him some easy options. Now, we'll get another look at the table here in a moment. Whew. The 6 has covered up the side for the
Extension
purple.
called.
Now, I'll tell you what he can do. He can open up that side pocket by playing this red off the green. Still touchy. May go into the 9. Yeah, that's what he's doing. Wants a somewhat heavy hit on the 9, just like that.
It's amazing how all the little touches nicely judged and fall just where you want them to when you're playing well. And well, he's playing magnificently well now these last few racks.
Well, there were a couple early misses, or one early miss by each player on tough shots, and we thought they played pretty well to start. It got a little scrappy in the middle, but it's been pretty good quality from both here in the latter half of the match. And I'd have to say better than pretty good quality here from Skyler, maintaining, trying to make this comeback. Okay, don't let the fast table get away here. He's He's gotten it where he doesn't really have to work the cue ball across. He can just go forward. Little bounce off the side cushion.
When he was 9-5 down, Skyler Woodward hadn't won more than 2 racks in a row at any stage of the match. And he'd only done that once. But now it's 4 on the bounce, and we have ourselves a very unexpected deciding rack. Well, the player's just questioning there. Normally there's a break after every 3 racks. And of course, ordinarily we'd have it now, but this far into the match we just keep going. It's all very friendly. These two are genuinely very good mates. You always see the two of them together out for dinner and hanging out at tournaments. But this has been anything but friendly. It's ultra competitive on the table. It's turned into a really memorable match.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't get many of those between good buddies. You know, we almost had a co versus co match in this event. And, you know, we've seen those struggles with the brothers. These, of course, aren't blood brothers, but might as well be.
I think it's about 11 in the morning in Kentucky, where Skyler Woodward is from. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people watching it back there and really enjoying the drama and the possibility of what Woodward might be about to do here.
Well, he's part Texan these days also.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, there's definitely people sweating it. He's got fans all over the world. Fedor Gorst the same.
You just love claiming everyone for Texas these days, don't you?
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I definitely take Skyler on as a Texan. He's definitely a little country.
Well, the USA is a very big country.
Skyler
and 2 of
Woodward
its
to break.
finest are in a deciding rack.
I was thinking 9-ball might move around a little a la like SVB. Now a 3-6 combo. Does he have it? If he can get a look at it, I think it's playable. This overhead will tell us. The purple 5's gotten in the way.
So that was the last break of the match, and in the 19 racks, the one has been made in the side between them 17 times. Just one miss in that regard each. Quality stuff.
He's going to lay him down behind the 7-8. He's got to hit it awfully thin. Now the good thing for him is if he can get to that back rail, the pink's in a tough position, even if he does leave a shot. Now, is he looking at the 3-6? I thought for sure the 5 had him snookered on the combination. Thought it had to be off the left side of the red. I like the combination if he can get at it, but man, I'm fooled. It's a safety, you can tell. Oh, he's coming up on it. Trying to take away the jump cue, Michael. I don't know if he has, really, just because that's how good Gorst is with the short cue.
Extension called.
We've seen a number of big tournaments in recent years, won by players who had enormous deficits in matches. Shane Van Boning, famously from 10-3 down, beating Mika Immonen 11-10 on his way to the world title. Gorst himself was 7-0 down early on his way to the world title a couple of months ago against Amir Ali as early as the last 64. If Skyler Woodward can turn this around from 9-5 down, that could be the catalyst for arguably the greatest moment of his career. But some way to go yet. And maybe
shots.
A bit less journey to travel now, because this is a definite chance for Skyler Woodward
Please start the
to complete this remarkable turnaround.
Yeah, amazing. A little unlucky to lose the cue ball. Heck of an effort for Mr. Gorst. Now the question mark. The pink not so tough with the ball in hand. Does the brown 7 pass the black 8 in the upper right? If it does, it's certainly in Skyler's hands. He doesn't seem too worried. You would think he would be addressing that a little bit, looking at it with the ball in hand. Now just maintain. He's gotten perfect here. One cushion out. Get nice and heavy on the purple. 6 plays in the side. And a sweet stroke there, and it's improved every game. And just look back again at 9-5, stitched up on the 7. Kicks the 2 in, banks the 3 in, keeps himself in the match, puts a few racks together, and now's a chance to win it. Looked a little heavy on the speed, but actually it's perfect.
He just seemed to get energized so quickly. As soon as he started the comeback, it looked like he really fancied the job and threw the shackles off. Played by far his best stuff of the match.
Well, now
Extension
kind of looking
called.
at the 7, I thought it had easily went by, and now he's taking a good look at it. Maybe he just naturally kind of assumed, glancing at it, it went, because I mean, he had other options besides that tight one. He's perfect to where he can roll up and get straight and close to it. That's the key when they're really tight. Now, has he got to play short side here on the 8? That's how tight it is. There's a little more angle here, Michael, than the TV tells us, so he may draw to the side rail and back out for the 9 in the left middle.
Skyler Woodward's mission impossible is really going to happen. He was 9-5 down against his great pal, the man who's going to be so important to his Mosconi Cup captaincy in Florida just before Christmas. And then it all suddenly turned around and Skyler Woodward started to play the sort of pool that he played for so much of 2023, but which has really been lacking throughout this year so far. What a turning point it could be in his year, in his career even. He was in 2 major semi-finals last year. He's 1 match away from getting to another one here in Fulda. The world champion from 9-5 up and on the hill has gone out, and it's Skyler Woodward who will go through to face Daniel Maciol in the European Open quarter-final here in Fulda tonight. Let's look at the numbers telling us the story of the match. I mean, really, mere numbers are so inadequate when you consider what we've just seen.
Yeah, I think the heart monitor is what we need really on these stats. You know, that's what you got to do. Really, Gorst didn't make any mistakes from 9-5 up. Missed a kick shot that was super tough, but Woodward just kind of took it away, and that's what you got to do with the world #1 sometimes. Really good stuff from both players. Every percentage went up as the match went on. And now Woodward with the confidence, right? I mean, he's got to be one of the guys to beat.
So 4 Americans made it to the last 16. 2 of them have survived to the quarters, but the champion of the world is not one of them, Abby.
Absolutely remarkable. From 9-5 down, you've managed to turn that around and pull off such a remarkable result. What was going through your mind when you were 9-5 down?
You know, all week I haven't had anything on my mind. I'm just playing. I'm so clear-minded right now. I'm just playing. I don't know, nothing.
How did you win that match? Because every time there was an ad break, you was coming out there past me and Jason saying, the shaft doesn't feel right. I've only just started using it. It feels a bit thin, a bit thick. Every time you come out, it was quite funny. How did you win the last 6 racks? 5 racks? Or?
I don't know. You know, just had a baby. I have a 3-week-old. I haven't played and I haven't really hit any balls. I grabbed the cue on my way out the door pretty much, and I was like, it feels good for the 2 hours I played, and I'm like, I'm just going to go swing it, and that's why I think I'm playing good. I have no expectations. I'm just playing, having fun.
Well, you must believe you can, go on to win the event now. You've just knocked Fedor out, and what a performance.
Yeah, thank you. I always feel like I can win the event, but yeah, it feels good to come back from nowhere really there, the way he was breaking towards the second half of the match, and to get the win from there felt really good. Big confidence booster for sure.
Yeah, and obviously 2 major semi-finals last year. You're one step away from another one this weekend. Is that the key? Is that the secret? Maybe just playing with that freedom and no worries, no pressures that you're putting on yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Normally I might feel a little pressure, but I haven't felt any this week. And I'm trying to get to the semifinals, of course, but I'm trying to lift the trophy more than anything. So I got to get to the semifinals to get there. And, it's one match at a time, one ball at a time. I'm just trying to do everything I can.
Daniel Martial up next for you this evening. What are you going to do in between now and your next match? Because you've not given yourself much time having to come from 9-5 down.
I don't even know how much time I have, so I don't know. Probably just rest, probably just sit down. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to do right now.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to us. We'll let you go off and go through your preparations. We are going to have a little look now at the results that we have seen, confirmation of everything that has happened. Well, we promised you drama, tension, captivating 9-ball action, and the last 16 has certainly delivered. Some gigantic shocks and upsets. We've seen one of them there with Skyler Woodward getting the better of the world #1 and world champion, coming from 9-5 down in order to do so. We also saw Mustafa Alnar get the better of the home favourite Joshua Filler. That the second time he has beaten Killer Filler this week. Then you see Johan Chua also through, and Shane Van Boning getting the better of the reigning and defending champion David Al-Qaidi. And as you can see, with Albin Ocean also going out 10-2, Mickey Kraus the winner in that one. What an absolutely whopping win that was. We are guaranteed a brand new name on the trophy, and that sets us up very nicely indeed for this evening's action. And as you can see, first up on the TV table, it is going to be Johan Chua taking on Mustafa Alnar. And then that is followed by Shane Van Boning taking on Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Just a quick word on that second match, Carl, because that is one tasty looking quarterfinal.
Yeah, it is.